Hey everybody, I'm JD and welcome to All Things Console. On this episode of Collect It or Not, which we are still working on the name, that's being tossed around, I have something pretty special. Actually, the coincidence is a little strange, but a little while ago, I found something that I'm never going to find again. I don't think I could if I tried. And something that's actually pretty neat to have around, if only for a little while. I've got the Dot Hack collection of games titled Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine. And why this is a pretty odd coincidence is, as it is right now, is March 2020. And hopefully you're watching this in the future, and if you are, it's strange because we're now dealing with the coronavirus in the US. That's the big topic right now. It's going around. We're in the early stages of it, a little terrifying. Maybe not to some. Everybody has a different opinion, but that isn't why we're here. Why we're here is the games. And there's an interesting story about how I found these games. I was at a flea market, about 60 miles from where I'm at right now. And on the way back, I decided just to hit some back roads, check out some other places, see if there was any other antique stores or secondhand stores around. And I found this little hole-in-the-wall secondhand store right off the highway. It was nothing more than a pole barn. A pole barn that was, it's in pretty rough shape. There was a couple tables sitting outside with some stuff, and I decided, these are some of the best places sometimes. And I went in. I told them what I was after. I introduced myself, and I asked if they had any, game consoles or games laying around. The man behind the counter said, yeah, they get them in periodically. They don't really keep track of them. And the ones that look like they're valuable, they get rid of pretty quick. And taking a look around the place, there was like no organization to it whatsoever, which is kind of cool for me because that's where stuff's going to be hidden at. And there's stuff piled in corners, there's boxes, bags, a couple shelves here and there with just the most random assortment of things. And there was a guy standing there talking to the gentleman, and he said that he thought he had seen some games in this far back corner of the building, but I would have to dig to find it. He said it was on a DVD rack, and I said, okay, not a problem there for me. So I get back to this kind of a dark, dank corner of this building, and I'm seeing brown recluse exoskeletons everywhere, which is just something I have to deal with quite a bit actually. And I start digging. I start pulling bags and boxes and things away. I'm finding cords, one NES controller. So I get down and I start to see the DVD rack. So I'm pulling stuff apart, and I get down to it. I find the first thing I seen was a copy of Guitar Hero for the PlayStation 2, but the case was cracked. There was no manual. The game looked like it had been skipped down the highway, and I was like, pass on that one. Started looking through. There's some PC games, some random stuff like Mahong collections and different games like that I'm definitely not interested in. And then I got to Doom 3 for the PC. PC's obviously not my thing. This is All Things Console. But I would have bought it if it had been in any kind of condition worth buying. The case, the box was crushed. It was missing a disc, and the rest of them didn't look so good. So I started to get a little disappointed. And then after that, it's DVDs. So I'm like, alright, I think this is a wash. And then out of the corner of my eye, I catch the PlayStation logo. So I start pulling more stuff out, hoping not to get bit by a spider. And what I see right next to each other, just like that, all four of these games. And actually, as it happens, I was on a forum that I frequent, and I had seen a topic talking about this particular collection of games, why the prices were so high, and what it was. I had never played. And so I decided to look into it a little bit. It was a pretty interesting thing, and so luckily, I was going to buy the games anyway, but it kind of jolted with me. I'm like, there's no way that that's what this is, because I heard that these games were super rare. So I start pulling them out, and every disc is there, every DVD is with the games, because every one of these games came with a bonus DVD. All the manuals are there except for Infection, which, this is the most common of the games. I think you can still buy this for like 20 bucks. But both discs are there, and they're all in near new condition. Almost flawless. The only marks they have on them is from them being put into the disc drive, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, wow. So I throw them in the car, I get them home, I start looking them over, and unfortunately, you know, the cases, they're the plastic part of the case, the protective plastic cover is a little rough from being, you know, stored and jostled around, so there's a few nicks and some scuffs, but nothing major at all. I mean, nothing you couldn't just slide this out and put it in a new case. Unfortunately, though, the part of the building that these were stored in, there's no heating, no air conditioning, so a little bit of moisture got in there. And even though it didn't get inside the cases and do anything to the games themselves, the artwork on Outbreak is a little wavy. You could tell there was a little moisture in there. To me, that's not a big deal at all. It might be, I mean, because of the amount of money these games command, it's going to be a big deal to somebody. So that was a little disappointing. And the one thing that was really disappointing, and it had to be on Quarantine, the most valuable of the whole series, looks like there's a few little dots of mold or mildew or something. And that was really just kind of heartbreaking. But as you can see at a glance, all the games look pretty good. They're in pretty good shape, considering. And then you get down here to Quarantine, and there are the little mold dots on the left-hand side of the case right there. And pretty heartbreaking. But on Outbreak, you can see the ripples in the plastic here, and it does translate into the artwork. And there is a random shot of my hand. Like I said, didn't hurt the games, didn't hurt the manuals. But from what I understood, you know, the games had only been there about 3 or 4 months, so there really wasn't enough time, in my opinion, for the moisture to have really gotten into the games. And I played every one, every DVD, every game, everything is fine. And I know right off the bat, I'm going to let you know that this is not going to be part of my collection. I'm not going to keep this because I think it's unfair to keep it. I'm not a fan of the series. I don't have anything against it. I'm not super big into anime by any means. I kind of missed the mark on that one. I was doing other things then, playing tabletop games and whatnot. Mostly what it's about is I want to get this to somebody who really wants it. I know how exciting it is for me to find games that I really love, and I think that's exactly what should happen with this. And like I said, my goal is to make sure that these find their way to another collector, somebody who's really going to appreciate them, somebody that may not have the type of money that it takes to get these games off of an auction site, since they are pretty expensive, and as well as hopefully they'll have something that I can put into my collection. And it's a great way to get to know the community, to get to know other gamers and other collectors. With that being said, thanks for stopping by the channel, checking out this find, and hopefully we'll see you next time.